Appearing in over 250 films, this 92-year-old movie star is arguably the most famous in New York City. It's thought to be named by George Washington in 1785, and there's been battles about being called the tallest Hollywood star in the world. This is All Request History. If you've ever wondered about the history of, well, anything, you're in the right place. Send your request to us, and if chosen, we'll produce, record, and post your history request. Thanks this time to Sharon B. of White Plains, New York, who requested the history of the Empire State Building. This massive structure was not built to be a tourist attraction or a movie star, but the Empire State Building was quietly intended to be the tallest building in the world. West 34th Street and 5th Avenue in New York City was the home to the Waldorf Astoria Hotel from 1893 to 1929. It was supposed to be two separate hotels, the Waldorf and the Astoria, to be built by the feuding Astor family, but that's a story for a different segment of All Request History. The hotel was past its prime, and the Astors sold the property to the design firm Shreve, Lamb & Harmon, who had success with the Reynolds Building in North Carolina and the Carew Tower in Cincinnati. This project was to create a business office space in New York City, but the firm quietly set out to accomplish the task of constructing the world's tallest building. And it was. It held that record from its completion in 1931 until 1970, when the World Trade Towers were built and took over that title. Its name was thought to have come from a George Washington quote during the Revolutionary War, calling New York the seat of the empire. So the owners borrowed New York City's nickname and called it the Empire State Building. Designed to look like a pencil, the project was built in a record-breaking 1 year and 45 days. It kept workers employed during the Great Depression. Only 5 workers were killed during its construction, which was a very low number in that industry at the time. The first 5 floors completed housed running water, restrooms, and a cafe, so workers didn't have to go out to the streets to find these amenities. A tradition you can still enjoy today was a tribute to the workers who tirelessly built the structure. Each of the 3 lobby doors includes its own dedication to the industries that employed its workers: electricity, heating, and masonry. During construction, a few blocks away, Walter Chrysler set out to show off his car company's success by boasting he was building the tallest building in the world. It became a battle throughout its construction of both buildings. So large that it had its own zip code, 10118 if you're writing to them, the Empire State Building stands 1,250 feet, while Chrysler's building only finished at 1,046. But after breaking records as the fastest built and the tallest, the Empire State was not very popular as an office building. Because of the stock market crash in 1929, there was not a lot of need for offices for out-of-work people. The townspeople and newspapers began calling it the Empty State Building. To drum up attention to the building, Shreve, Lamb & Harmon came up with a few ideas. They instructed the maintenance guys to keep the lights on in the upper floors at night to make it look like they were occupied. They also started a rumor that the ghost of the recently deceased Thomas Edison could be seen on the 86th floor. When curiosity seekers came to visit, even if they didn't find Edison, they'd see a breathtaking view of the city. Soon after, the observatory on the 86th floor was born. They started charging a nickel to get a view, and if they wanted to, they could still look for Edison's ghost. It became the #1 tourist attraction in New York City. The fact that the building became a movie star helped its fame and kept people visiting. It has appeared in over 250 Hollywood films, but of course its most famous roles were Sleepless in Seattle and the one that originally introduced it to the world, 1932's King Kong. Although actually shot in a movie studio, obviously. Moviegoers flocked to the deck of the 86th floor to see the spire that Kong held onto with Fay Wray in his arms as he battled planes with machine guns. Oh, and speaking of the spire, its purpose as a blimp docking station, that's not an urban legend. It was in fact part of the original plans. The owners actually intended blimps to meet up with the tower, open its doors to passengers so they could walk across an open-air gangplank 1,200 feet in the air and onto the steps of the spire. A frightened blimp test pilot reported that High winds and fear of puncturing his craft made successful docking extremely dangerous. It was never attempted again. Thrill seekers were not frightened of the Empire State Building and flocked to the 86th floor and then jumped. The most famous story happened in 1986 when Alistair Boyd, of course illegally, parachuted off the observatory as the New York City Police Department scattered to apprehend him. He gently landed on a crowded 33rd Street, dropped his chute, got into a cab, and motored away. You know what they always say, only in New York. In 1945, Betty Lou Oliver was not seeking thrills, but riding in one of the 73 elevators when a U.S. military plane accidentally crashed into the side and severed the cables. The elevator plunged 75 stories to the basement. Betty had multiple injuries, but did not meet her demise. Miraculously, 1,000 feet of cable gathered at the bottom of the shaft ahead of the elevator and created a spring-like effect that cushioned the impact. More fun facts about the Empire State Building are: the most photographed structure in the world. A lightning rod on top of the tower averages 23 strikes per year. It hosts an annual race to climb over 1,500 steps called the New York City Run-Up. It has 102 stories, made of 10 million bricks, weighs 365 tons, and includes 473 miles of electrical wiring. Its 6,514 windows need to be washed each year. It also was the first public attraction to open after the COVID-19 pandemic. And lastly, the most prominent feature was originally intended as the landing lights for that blimp docking station. The Empire State Building lights can be seen from miles around, and they do more than just look awesome. They also tell a story. They started out as white floodlights, but now colors can be seen beaming from the 86th floor, and they mean something different every night. Installed in 1976 in honor of the U.S. Bicentennial, the multicolored lights started with red, white, and blue, but were able to be changed to many colors like orange and blue when the Mets win a game, or blue and white for the Yankees, orange only for Halloween, green, red, and blue for Christmas. You get the idea. In 2012, LED lights were installed to add more modern look and a vast number of colors. In 2018, the lighting system was again upgraded and computerized, making 16 million different color combinations and offering light shows that can be synced with music and other light casting technology. The Empire State Building has gone from Fay Wray with King Kong to Tom Hanks with Meg Ryan, from the Astor's Family Hotel to the tallest building in the world. And although Walter Chrysler planned otherwise, there are very few buildings more famous than the Empire State Building.